Hello everyone, I'm Rob Christopher, the City Forester for Easton, and I wanted to just briefly discuss why we've created a microforest in Lower Hackett Park in Easton. We had an opportunity for a large grant back in 2019, which was funded by the Arbor Day Foundation and Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So with that, we wanted to come up with a way that we can serve the public with an outdoor educational venue that would be native plants with what I call a microforest. So we have 122 different native trees and shrubs all planted on a 1/4 acre in a way that everyone could see how nature develops on its own and go from there, and people from generations could watch and see how this forest develops and everything that changes and the whole sustainability part of it. So we decided to install an 8-foot tall fence around the whole microforest, mainly because the first year that this was in, and then after COVID, with no attention, the deer really came in and decimated all of the understory shrubs between eating and their rubbing of their horns in the fall for buck rubbing season. So we decided to put the fence up. It is spring loaded, it is never locked, so everybody is welcome to just push this up and then come in and just have your own self-guided tour. So our microforest was designed so that it's multi-layered as it is in a northeastern temperate forest. There's a herbaceous layer, then there's a shrub layer, and then there's an understory tree layer made up of flowering and vegetative trees, and then there's a layer of the canopy trees that basically shade the whole forest. So we decided to not mow any of the area in here except paths for people to navigate through. So we're not disturbing the natural development of this ecosystem. We want to see all the different natural plants that are coming on their own, whether they're invasive or not invasive. And you can see some as they're coming in now, the verbascum in here. There's some solidago, goldenrod, and it's also attracting all different types of wildlife. The trees are already giving shade in some areas, and this is the 3rd year that it's been in. So in this area of the microforest, as it tapers down towards an unnamed creek that feeds the Bushkill Creek, it's much wetter down at this end. So we put plantings in here indigenous to a much wetter lowland environment: pin oaks, weeping willows, twig dogwoods, cranberry viburnum, and we have one native ball cypress back here also. So everything had to be planned out according to how it would grow in nature, on the edge of the woods, the center of the woods, and what would work well in this specific environment. And lastly, as we pan out and look at the creek behind us, we have some native trees. We're also going to be doing a riparian buffer planting. So everything in there, all the native or the invasive plants have been killed, and we're working on beefing that up to hold the erosion back and create a stronger riparian buffer. Besides thinking of the forest as everything above the ground, everyone should realize that there's just as much going on below the ground. From the microorganisms, the soil, and the development of all these trees' root systems, which are starting to interconnect, and they're creating a mycelial network, which is the same as it is within our brains. All of the synapses of our brains are connecting, sending each other signals, and it's the same with the trees. Trees that need a little bit more help and nutrients are helping give these other trees nutrition. And if there are other trees too that are doing really bad in a forest, and there's a mother tree controlling all of these little trees, she might send a signal out to a tree she knows is going to die, that's one of her seedlings, to abort it. And she will send chemicals and whatever it takes to exterminate that tree, and then move on and let the healthier trees from in her generation grow. So it's never just about above the ground. There's just as much going on below the ground, and there's a lot of communicating according to all of the everything from the environment that's happening to them.